All right, y'all. Quick update. I'm just finishing up here at the shop. Show you what I got done. As you can see, the hardware is on in the back. I'm just missing the rudder. This boat came with some knockoff, I think TFL style rudder. I'm not going to use it because it has an L bracket, and it's just, I'm sure it's fine. It's just, I like to use Speedmaster because made in America, and also whenever I bend a rudder blade, which they will bend on a boat this big, it's easy to get a replacement blade from Jeff. But since the last update, you can see I did cut off the barrel adjuster, and I added a second plate back there. So these are originally the backing plates that go inside the transom, and I just drilled out the holes, used them as big washers, base plates. It's just more standoff. So now I have 35 millimeter of standoff. So there's 25 here, 5 and 5. So that gets my prop 5.75 inches from the transom, which is exactly where I want it. You can see I have the trim tabs. The inboard ones are as close as possible. Not as close, I mean pretty dang close though. You can see there's only 3 millimeters of gap there from the body of this to the body of that. And then the outboard ones spaced a little bit. I have my turn fins lined up with the points. It's a good looking transom. So inside the hull, I have the motor mounted. I had to inlet or smoothen out, flatten out the inside of these rails. These rails are just epoxy. They're not even plywood, but should be fine. It's just ugly. And I got the bolts in. There's an adjustment in the back here. The hole is slotted in the aluminum so that you can adjust the pitch of the motor. I already have it in place. You can see the stuffing tube is in. The mount is loose. I'm going to glue that in at the house when I have a longer cable so I can ensure perfect alignment. Let's look at this stinger. So this is fuel hose, and it's the perfect ID 5/16 for the OD of the stuffing tube, 8 millimeters, same thing. But what it does, if it'll ever focus, anyway, it butts up against the transom, so it's a sort of watertight seal, and then it tucks into here. It actually goes into the stuffing tube about an inch. I did have to grind down on the exterior of the hose just to get it to fit inside the stinger. But what that will do is it'll keep, well, first of all, it makes it more streamlined instead of just a bare tube and hitting a blunt face here. But it also will keep water from pushing into the stuffing tube and pushing the grease out. I normally use silicone hose, but I had this here at the shop. I'm like, you know what? I bet you that'll be a perfect fit. And it's, so far it seems pretty good. So the stuffing tube is pretty much ready. It's already bent in to shape. You can see there's hardly any bend. This motor is really, really low. It's all the way down in there. Very low. Minimal driveline bend. So once I have the cable, I'm going to grease it, stick it in and out, get it nice and smooth, and then I'll glue that. I also made a plate here for the ESC to sit on. Pretty basic. I did have to contour the bottom of it so it matches the lumps of the hull. But that's where it's going to go. You can see I have a sensor wire. So this motor is going to run censored. That way I can do a motor temperature cutoff. I don't anticipate this motor to get hot. It's so massive. It has so much mass that it's its own heat sink. And it's so efficient that it's not even going to create that much heat anyway. So Castle told me not to water cool it. They said it'll be fine, so we'll try that first. And I'll have a fail-safe with the sensors that I think you can adjust the temperature to. I think default is 220, but you know what? I'll turn it down lower, maybe 180, and just to be safe in the beginning, so that I always have priority on the ESC. No, sorry, I guess the motor. The motor is always priority because there's no way to monitor temps. There's no fail-safe. There's no thermal cutoff typically in a boat. The ESC, you don't have to worry about it because it has its own cutoffs, right? So it'll thermal, and it's not just a Castle, it's all of them, Hobby Wing, ZTW, they're all cut off when they get too hot. But the only way to monitor your motor temperature is a thermometer. You do a couple laps, you bring it in, you check the temp, right? Well, with the Castle, the sensors will monitor the temperature if you're on the sensor wire. So I'm going to run the sensor wire, and then it'll give me better control of the timing also if I want to mess with that. And then the other cool thing is the new Bluetooth link from Castle. This is the newest version. It just came out. They fixed all the glitches. The old one was a piece of junk, and it would zero out your settings when you don't want it to. So it was actually pretty annoying to use. I always told people not to use it, but now I can use it. We'll run it inline. And the cool thing about that is I can drive the boat close to me within Bluetooth range, pull it up on my app, and then see what my motor and ESC temp is without pulling the boat out of the water, because it's a big bitch, like they're not easy to unload and take out of the water. And then you don't have to untape the hatch. I can just get it to the beach or get it to the front of the dock, stand there at the front of the dock, check the temps. If it's still good, then I'll go out for another rip and get more data. So on the app, it's not as comprehensive as the PC app, but it still shows all the maximums of all the different parameters that you want to check. So it's going to be pretty useful, I think. So that's where we're at. We're pretty dang close. I'm gonna be mounting the batteries pretty soon. I'm gonna do my typical thing where I glue down some Velcro pads and also some Velcro straps that go short ways around the side of the battery. So those will be glued to the hull. There will be Velcro on the bottom of the battery, and then there'll be the strap that holds the battery down against that Velcro. So that's how I'm gonna do all 4 batteries. They're just gonna sit straight right here on the hull, and we should be ready to splash after that. I will have to sharpen my prop. I haven't shown you all that yet. I've had it. It's a big one, but I have to sharpen that still and balance it. But it's getting pretty close. We're almost at the point where we're going to start filling it with foam. I'm going to add some ballast weight to it. I like to add weight to the front of my boats, so you can see all the way up there. The nose is still empty, so I'm thinking I may reinforce it. I may pour it and add some weight up there. And I don't think I need to add too much weight to the back, although I would like to add weight to the corners of the transom, which I do on all my boats, by the way. I think I've told you all that, just to help resist the temptation for the boat to want to rotate left and right. Anyway, look at that big old thing. It actually looks proportionate to this boat, so it really is hard to tell how big that motor is in the video. But remember, this is a 57-inch boat, and that is a big motor. Let's see what I have here, what we can use for scale. Well, not that everybody is familiar with axle nut sockets, but let's see, a 10mm wrench. I guess this still doesn't give you that much perspective. Anyway, wrong spot. Oh yeah, I guess I gotta mount the rudder in the servo. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the servo here. I'm gonna cut this out. The servo is gonna be sideways, so the horn will be facing this way, and then the horn, sorry, the servo shaft will be like this, so the horn will swing like that. But yeah, I'm just gonna lay the servo down on its side, cut out a rectangle, put 4 holes, and just put a bolt and a nut. It'll be super solid. I've done that on plenty of boats. And then it'll give me pretty good alignment with my rudder. So I'm gonna mount the rudder right about here, just barely missing the stringer with my hardware. So it's going to be right here. My steering rod will be right there, which will be directly above, right over here, which will be right there on top of the servo horn. So whenever you're building a boat, always keep in mind, when you start planning your hardware, these stingers, stringers, because you start plotting where you want stuff back here, and then you forget, oh, you drill a hole and it's going to go directly into the backside of this, and it's just it's a pain in the butt. So plan accordingly, and all of my holes do miss the stringers. So again, my rudder, the 2 lower ones are probably going to be here, the 2 upper ones are going to be there. It's just going to straddle the stringer. These stringers are pretty tall, but they seem short because this hole is so tall. I know I say that in every video, but this is a big hole. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I think the next update, we will be putting the batteries in and maybe even calibrating the motor and ESC. All right, guys, thanks for watching.